dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom.
My dear students, today in the history, we'll be learning the topic economic development. So, in our 9th standards history, our today's topic is economic development, and in this topic, we are going to study about India's mixed economy or India's economic policy, which includes a study of the mixed economy, 5-year plans and their successes and failures, nationalization of banks, 20-point program, meal workers strike, and the last point of this lesson, especially the new economic policy of 1991. So here, now the first point, which is about the economy. So when we are going to talk about economic development, it is very important to understand the meaning of economy. The enterprises related to the production, distribution and consumption of goods and services. Here one thing which is very important to understand, not only goods but also services. So the enterprises related to the production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in a specific region is called an economy. And when we talk about economy, brainstorming about the kind of economy would adopt after independence that our Prime Minister Pandit Nehru, who adopted the middle path rather than taking recourse to any extremes. For example, some countries had adopted capitalism while some had adopted socialism. Now here one thing again to understand about these types of economies. Each type of economy had its own advantages. So if you go to study in detail about capitalist system, the means of production are privately owned. In a socialist economy, the means of production are owned by the state in the name of the society. So in capitalist, privately owned. In socialistic or in socialist economy, the means of production are owned by the state in the name of the society. And the third type, a mixed economy, works with both in the private and the public sector. So in order to achieve economic development of modern India, we gave preference to a model of mixed economy. So if we go in detail about the capitalism and socialism, capitalism is an economic system where the means of production are owned by private individuals. The economic companies exist to make money. A capitalistic system is also called free market economy or free enterprise. Here the motto or the objective is very clear: to earn money or to make money. And in socialism, which is an economic system where the means of production is owned by the state or public. Everyone works for wealth that is in turn distributed to everyone. Everyone works for their own good and the good of everyone else. So the government decides how wealth is distributed among people. Basic difference between the mixed economy when we talk about that, but before that it is very important to understand the basic difference between the private or capitalist economy and socialist economy. In socialistic economy, the means of production belong to society as a whole, that is the government's control, and its main aim is to achieve social welfare China and Russia have adopted socialistic type of economy. Now, in mixed economy, coexistence of private and public sectors, यहाँ पर दोनों भी होते हैं. So, the balance between profit and social welfare is made. India, Sweden, the UK have adopted this type of system. So, in mixed economy, combination of a market and a command economy. Government takes of people's needs, marketplace takes care of people's wants. And most nations have a mixed economy, in that United States, England, Australia. Advantages of this mixed economy: balance of needs and wants made by government and in marketplace. Its disadvantage: citizens have to pay taxes. Now here, as per the mixed economy, you can see three parts in this kind of economy. The first one, public sector. The industries in this sector are completely under the control and management of the government. So the companies which are under public sector are controlled and managed by the government. For example, production of defense equipment. In private sector, the industries in this sector are owned by private industrialists. Of course, the government supervises and controls them too. लेकिन indirect होता है वो government का role उसमें as compared to public sector. For example, consumer goods and joint sector. In this sector, some industries are owned by private industrialists, while some are run under government management, as it is in the name joint sector. So both are there, government and the private industrialists. For mixed economy to run smoothly, there is a need for coordination between the private sector and public sector. This system aims at maximization of production and popular participation on a large scale. So an effort has been made in the system to bring together good aspects of both the capitalist and the socialist systems. So whenever we are talking about mixed economy, it is very important to keep in mind that it is the middle way or middle path, जिसमें कैपिटलिस्ट के भी कुछ फायदे हैं और जिसमें सोशलिस्ट के भी कुछ फायदे हैं. तो दोनों से कुछ ना कुछ उठा के मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी को बनाया गया है. मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी cannot ignore the profit motive, entrepreneurship, discipline, time bound planning, etc. Now the next thing about this, a mixed economy also naturally tends to give priority to national interest. Long-term development is stressed in the mixed economy. The industries like defense, scientific research, education, roads, railways, waterways, seaport and airport development require huge capital investment, but the return in these areas are delayed. Not many private industrialists are keen to invest in these areas. In such a situation, the government has to take the initiative. Thus, India adopted the mixed economy model and 5-year plans and started off on its path of development. The industrial policy of 1973 increased the speed of development. So the priority was given in the policy to control the influence of heavy industries, industrial families and foreign industries and remove the imbalance in regional development. अगर हम आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस की बात करेंगे तो डेवलपमेंट लोकल लेवल तक नहीं पहुंचा था, रिमोट एरिया तक नहीं पहुंचा था. सो द गवर्नमेंट फोकस्ड on the development of small scale industries and cottage industries. Government also started paying more attention to the cooperative sector. The colonial power had exploited India economically, and the country, after independence we are talking, the country faced severe problems like poverty, unemployment, population growth, low standard of living, low of productivity of agriculture and industries, backwardness in the fields of science and technology. So planning was essential to solve these problems. अगर हम इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद के इंडिया की इकोनॉमिकल स्टेटस की बात करेंगे तो इतने सारे प्रॉब्लम्स हमारे सामने, हमारे देश के सामने खड़े थे और उन्हें ओवरकम करना, उन्हें सॉल्व करना और इकोनॉमिकली एक स्ट्रॉन्ग नेशन बनाने के लिए प्लानिंग की ज़रूरत थी. एंड फॉर दैट इंडिया established the planning commission in 1950 with Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as its chairman. It formulated India's 5-year plans that included rural and agricultural development, balanced industrialization. Now here the balanced word is very important. ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत ज़्यादा इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन किया जाएगा या फिर बहुत कम किया जाएगा, क्योंकि हमारे देश का नेचर जो था उसके हिसाब से ये प्लान करना ज़रूरी था. एंड दैट इज़ वाई हियर द वर्ड बैलेंस्ड इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Provision for a minimum standard of living and economic development consistent with democratic ideals. It focused on people's participation and individual development in the formulation and implementation of the 5-year plans. Goals of plans, if we talk about, a general principle of planning is the proportionate distribution of the resources of a country and appropriate use of the human resource to fulfill the needs of the people. So the goals of plans: increase in the national income, bring about rapid industrialization by focusing on the basic industries, bring about an increase in agricultural production, क्योंकि हमारी जो इकोनॉमी उस वक्त थी वो नियर अबाउट हम कह सकते हैं कि टोटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन एग्रीकल्चर थी. आज भी वही है लेकिन थोड़ा बहुत पिक्चर चेंज हुआ है. सो एग्रीकल्चर का जो सेक्टर था उस पर ध्यान देना बहुत ज़रूरी था. सो दैट इट वाज इन द गोल्स ऑफ प्लान्स, bring about an increase in agricultural production so that the country becomes self-sufficient in food grain production. Use the human resource in the country optimally by making increasing employment opportunities available. And very important, remove the inequality in earnings and wealth. जो अमीर है वो अमीर ही होते जाएंगे और जो गरीब है वो गरीब ही होते जाएंगे. ऐसा नहीं होना था, ऐसा नहीं होने देना था. फॉर दैट remove the inequality in earning and wealth was the goal. Maintain stable prices of commodities, bring the growth in population under control by family planning, because it was one of the challenge in front of the country. Improve the standards of living by eradicating poverty, develop social services and make the economy self-sufficient. पूरी तरह से हमें किसी और कंट्री पे इंटरडिपेंडेंट नहीं होना पड़े आगे चलकर, ये भी देखना बहुत ज़रूरी था. एंड फॉर दैट इट वाज द गोल ऑफ प्लान्स दैट मेक द इकोनॉमी self-sufficient. And now one by one we'll talk about the 5-year plans. In this, the first 5-year plan from 1951 to 1953. 6. The expenditure in this plan was primarily on agriculture, social development, irrigation and food control, sources of energy, rural and small industries, heavy industries, minerals, transport and communication, education and health. This plan consisted of measures to lay the foundations of planned economic development, because it was the beginning, it was the start and it was the first 5-year plan. तो एक अच्छी स्टार्ट होना बहुत ज़रूरी था. Then the second 5-year plan, this plan had ambitious goals of industrialization. Iron and steel industries at Durgapur, Bhilai and Rourkela, chemical fertilizers plants at Shindri, rail engine factory at Chittaranjan, factory of railway bogies at Perampur, shipbuilding factory at Visakhapatnam and other heavy industries were set up in the public sector. It means under the control of government. Huge dams like Bhakranangal, Damodar were built to make water available for agriculture. It led to increase in the national income. So, if you study this in detail, then you can understand that at the same time industrialization was also started and development in the field of agriculture was also focused. Now, the third 5-year plan. This plan was aimed at bringing about a balance in industries and agriculture. The other goals of the plan included increase in national income, heavy industries, development in transport and mineral industry, elevation of poverty and to expand the opportunities for employment. रोजगार को बढ़ाना ये इसमें एक important goal था. After the third 5-year plan, 3 1-year plans were implemented from 1966 to 1969, and this was a period of intense famine. Due to the invasion by China and war with Pakistan, the government had to focus on defense rather than development related tasks. Also, the famine required the government to undertake measures to tackle the effects of famine, and all these issues stressed the Indian economy. Now, by this what we understand, एक तो नेचुरल कैलेमिटीज जो आती है वो हमें पीछे ढकेल देती है, या फिर वॉर जो होता है वो भी हमेशा बुरी तरह से हमारी या फिर किसी भी देश के इकोनॉमी पे असर डालता है. Fourth 5-year plan from 1969 to 1974. The intentions behind setting the goals of this plan were that India should become self-reliant, government should develop the basic industries, increase the speed of economic development and pay attention to establishing a socialistic pattern of society. So, 14 major banks in the country were nationalized. This plan did not succeed as expected, but the economy had to bear the burden of the Bangladesh war again. The expenditure or the refugees had to be borne as well. The Indian economy suffered due to the pay raise of government and railway servants and rise in the prices of petrol in the international markets. Now, by studying all these plans, one thing which we are understanding that the reasons because of which economic development may slow down. Fifth 5-year plan. This plan was designed with the goal of making India economically self-sufficient by alleviating poverty, and the objectives of the fifth plan were as follows, where you people can see on the screen, that is increase in the national income, make large scale employment available, supply of education, nutritious food and drinking water, to make facilities of medical treatment available in rural areas, to supply electricity and means of communication, implement social welfare schemes on a wide scale, bring about the development of agriculture, increase the basic industries, purchase food grains and other life sustaining goods by monopoly purchase and make them available to the poor at reasonable prices through a public distribution system. So, during the fifth plan, it was not possible to achieve the goals of removal of poverty and increase in employment. Next one, sixth 5-year plan. This plan also stressed upon alleviation of poverty and employment generation, significantly increase the growth rate in the economy, reduce the rate of poverty and unemployment, shape and implement a population policy so that people adopted the small family norm voluntarily and thus keep the population under control. So, we can say here that this one, the achievement of this plan and the programs were implemented in the sixth 5-year plan, that is Integrated Rural Development Program IRDP, Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, that is RLEGP, National Rural Employment Program, that is NIEP, and the Salem Steel Plant. Next one, seventh 5-year plan. This plan laid stress on food, employment and productivity. So, the objectives of the plan included development, modernization, self-reliance, social justice, improving the technique of production to achieve an yearly increase in national income of 5% and increase food grain production. And the programs which were started in this plan, that is Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, India Awas Yojana, scheme of 10 lakh wells. 8 5-year plan. This plan gave a lot of scope to the private sector. The plan had the features in which to maintain the rate of growth in national income at 6.5% and to control the growth of population, to encourage the program of family planning, to remove illiteracy by expansion of primary education. In this also, following programs were started. You can see on the screen: Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, Mahila Samriddhi Yojana, Rashtriya Samajik Arthik Sahaya Yojana, Midday Meal Scheme, इंदिरा महिला स्कीम एंड गंगा कल्याण स्कीम. मिड डे मील स्कीम जो आज भी हमें स्कूल में खाना मिलता है, वो इस 5-year प्लान में स्टार्ट हुआ. ड्यूरिंग द 8th प्लान, द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ द प्राइवेट सेक्टर ग्रो. दिस प्लान इज अ रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ द लिबरलाइजेशन एंड फ्री मार्केट पॉलिसी adopted in 1991. Now the next one, 9th 5-year plan. This plan focused on agriculture again and on rural development. The objectives of this plan were to increase the rate of growth of the economy, create healthy competition in the infrastructure sector, give a new direction to industrial policy for ensuring foreign investment. And during this plan, schemes which were started: Swarna Jayanti Sahari Rozgar Yojana, Bhagyashree Child Welfare Policy, राजराजेश्वरी महिला कल्याण योजना, स्वर्ण जयंती ग्राम स्वरोजगार योजना, जवाहर ग्राम समृद्धि योजना, अंत्योदय अन्न योजना, प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना. And in this plan, the progress of communication system and service sector was achieved as per the expectations. So there was a growth in the fields of construction and communication. So आज जो हम हमारी डेवलपमेंट देख रहे हैं in each and every field, if we talk about the industrialization or in the field of agriculture, तो ये जर्नी है जो 1950 में स्टार्ट हुई विद द फर्स्ट 5 ईयर प्लान और आज तक ये प्रोसेस जो है, ये जर्नी जो है चलती आ रही है. गोल्स डिसाइड होते हैं, फिर उस पर काम होता है. कभी कभी उसमें पूरी तरह से अचीवमेंट हो जाता है, कभी कभी कुछ रीज़न की वजह से वो नहीं होता है. इट मे बी द वॉर और इट मे बी एनी नेचुरल calamity. Now in the next session of this lesson, we'll talk about the nationalization of banks, 20-point program, issues of workers and the new economic policy. Subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications.
So my dear ones, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.